Next on the show, we have America's #1 happiness coach, Laura Dibenedetto. We will be learning about entrepreneurship journey, how to build successful habits, and lead a successful, happy life. Next on the WTRE show.
Welcome to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Podcast, your source for real-world strategies focused on creating long-term wealth, cash flow, and financial freedom through real estate. Through guidance, tips, and stories of highly successful real estate investors and thought leaders, we provide you the tools to succeed and to reach the lifestyle you always wanted. And now, your host, Dwaine Clarke.
Hello and welcome back to the Wealth Through Real Estate Investing Show. This is your host, Dwaine Clarke, and today we have Laura Dibenedetto. She's a success coach, TEDx speaker. She's also the CEO of Vision Advertising and author of The 6 Habits. Laura, thank you so much for joining us on the show. And how you doing, my friend?
Thank you for having me here, and I'm doing pretty great today. How are you?
Absolutely. Doing very well. It was great talking to you before we started recording, kind of learning a little bit more about each other, kind of stuff that you're working on. So it's been great. And like I said, just pleasure and blessed to have you on the show. I've been reading a lot about your background, very extensive background, working in the advertising industry, success coaching, a whole bunch of different stuff. So, I mean, for a short time that I have you, I want to kind of probably touch on just a few topics. But for people who are not familiar with your background, can you guys talk about, how you got started as an entrepreneur and a little bit about your current journey?
Sure. I got started as an entrepreneur by really not enjoying having a job. I had 14 jobs in 1 year. I quit half and I got fired from the other half. Hardly employee of the year, but a lot of entrepreneurial journeys start that way. Just realizing that the whole job scene, it's probably not for you. So I figured this out at 19, that didn't quite fit. And I started my own thing on shaky ground. I had no idea what I was doing, but it's amazing what stubbornness and perseverance will do for you. Made a lot of mistakes over the years, but I was still I was still able to build a wonderful company that I'm so proud of, and I still own 21 years later. And it's grown quite a bit. It's very profitable. We've got, in my humble opinion, the best team members on the planet. And I was actually able to retire from active CEO status in 2018 and move on to explore the subject of happiness and making dreams come true. Because when I got to the state of retirement, I discovered that I didn't have happiness and felt like, okay, yay, I retired. Now what? It was very empty, and it just, like theoretically it's a dream come true to have that happen. But then when it happens and it's nothing but crickets, it's like a little problematic. So I sought to solve the problem. I did in a really big way. So I changed my life, and I made it my mission to help to change others. And that's how I got here. That was a rocket journey through 21 years, but that's a short version.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I really resonate with that story because I'm kind of the same way where I started so many different businesses. I was never able to kind of keep that, that 9-to-5 type of corporate job because I always had some burning desire to do something and do something more. And I always had these different business cards of the different businesses I would start over time, and finally found on a niche that I like to do. But one thing I also liked was you headed towards something that you wanted to become happy with. And kind of heading to my next subject of, as we're coming hopefully out of the tail end of the pandemic, a lot of people losing jobs and losing their businesses and trying to recover. Can you kind of talk about kind of just, freeing yourself from, doubt and fear, kind of rebuild yourself, in some cases reestablish or start something from fresh to start something new and, head towards what you describe as happiness?
Sure. Well, first, let's just acknowledge that happiness is defined differently by every single person. What makes me happy isn't necessarily going to make, you or anyone else happy. I mean, we were just talking about how you've got designs to think about Florida. I live in Florida, and you're moving to this, seashell capital, which your kids might like, but you might not. I would be excited, so I might come down and hang out with your kids.
Yeah.
But, for each of us, we have to figure out, what truly makes us happy. And you know, it's not just like things and life experiences and moments. A lot of the definition that I have for happiness is really our baseline of how we feel on a daily basis when we're not on vacation and we're not experiencing one of those amazing highs, like, you know, making a huge return on investment or closing a big sale, or like, you know, seeing a massive investment like really turn around. Those are all wonderful, but they're just highs and they don't last. That's the stinky part about highs. In being able to create a continual baseline of happiness, that's the stuff that actually empowers us to go after the things we want, build the life of our dreams, whatever that may be. For me, I used to dream of moving to an island, and I did it, but I didn't do it so I could become happy. I did it because I became happy, and that was the result of me feeling so much self-love and so much empowerment that I could courageously take on the big scary thing, like moving 5,000 miles away from everyone and everything I know. And of course, starting businesses and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, you have all these different elements. And as you know, like from our show, we talk to a lot of, you know, real estate investors, you know, passionate people that's trying to start businesses and things like that. One thing that we constantly talk about outside of the technical aspect of, you know, do this to create this certain type of effect in your real estate business is, you know, success principles. And one of those biggest things, especially for me and what helped me out is habits, you know, morning routines and certain habits I do every single day that I'm able to inch closer to my goals. And I know that's some subject that you talk a lot and very passionately is about building successful habits. And that's something that you talk about in your book. Can you talk about, you know, just a couple steps, you know, that you can, you know, give to us towards that we can build successful habits so we can reach our goals?
Sure. I want to preface my answer by saying that our lives and our dreams will only be as healthy and well organized as our heads are. If we don't have a solid constitution upstairs, we're not going to be able to create solid constitution throughout all that we wish to have or do. It all comes down to who we are. And so I've read lots and lots and lots of books, and I am such a huge student of life. And I'm never going to stop learning. And I even like observe people around me and, you know, study behavior, and I'm always learning things. And the thing that really stuck out to me when I started doing my research to really understand happiness and really understand what it takes to create dream fulfillment is there are so many habits and actions that are suggested that the world of personal and professional development suggests. The habits and everything that I focus on are all habits of the mind. So the habits of the mind are the things that govern our typical mental reactions to adversity. How do we handle something we don't want to do? I'll give you some great examples that are probably tangible. How risk tolerant are you? Your risk tolerance actually says a lot about how you feel about yourself and how you feel about your ability to ride out difficult circumstances. Your confidence to make a cold call is a direct reflection on how you feel about yourself. Your ability to magnetize wonderful opportunities to you by way of making people want to give to you is like, it's just a reflection of how you interact with life and what happens. You know, so many of us live in states of just disorganized chaos in our heads, and we don't really understand why some things are really hard when they really don't need to be. And let me tell you something. Earlier, I said I made a lot of mistakes. Oh yes, I made so many mistakes. The most notable mistakes I made were all a result of me not having a good relationship with myself, me not having a good relationship with life and everything that happened, and me not really having any sort of structure. So that's essentially what the 6 mental habits that my book goes into talks about. It's not stuff we do. Like, you know, I know there's a bunch of people that argue, including a dear friend of mine, you need to have celery juice every morning. Okay. You need to do yoga. You need to meditate. You need to do affirmations. All of these things are wonderful. But these are the results of the mental habits I'm talking about, because it's not that you do these things, it's why you do them. Mm-hmm. It's not that you are a successful investor. It's why are you a successful investor? And why did you fail? And why did you succeed? It's all in the why. Mm. So all that said, the habits are 100% mental. They're nothing rote that you need to do. I'm a person who, I don't do the same thing every morning. And I'm pretty sure you're going to ask me about what I do every morning. And it's mostly just have coffee. But like, if you can train your brain to interact with you, your life, and whatever it is that you want to do in a productive way every single time, you're going to get better results out of everything you do. Your marriage, your life, your friendships, your company, your money, everything, because you're different. Mm-hmm. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that really keyed on there, because even though you said that you don't have like, you know, ABC stuff that you do for your morning routine, you're still self-fulfilled, you're happy, and it works for you, compared to somewhere they need to have all that stuff that they need to do to kind of, you know, run their day successfully. And also you had mentioned it being really the mindset, especially now in today's world where there's just so much distraction and so much negativity and things that can just throw you off, and you can probably watch something on TV and it completely throws a lot of people off. Can you kind of talk about maybe some ways that people can focus better, not get too distracted on outside stuff, on where society wants us to live or how other people want you to live? Like, I want you to drink celery juice, and then focus on stuff that you want to do that can, you know, head you towards your goals and your wishes.
The first step to any sort of achievement of this nature will always be self-awareness.
Oh, yeah.
Always. Mm-hmm. You have to be 100% aware of what you are doing presently. You have to, you know, take inventory of the mental habits that you already have. That's the thing. We all are masters of mental habits now. And I would argue we are masters of these habits too, but most of us are masters of the dark sides of these habits, right? And the very first thing that we need to do is obviously learn about what these habits are, right? How they show up in our lives. But the most practical thing we can possibly do is to really take good, solid inventory of who we are, how we're showing up. You know, when we're faced with a challenge, how do we typically respond every time? When we're faced with criticism, how do we respond? Typically, you know, there's always going to be the outlying responses, always. Mm-hmm. But what's our gut reaction? What's our like snap reaction? The one that we don't have to think about. You know, when we get cut off in traffic, do we instantly feel rage? If so, that's a habit, you know, and it's just an example. Like, but if something goes wrong in the real estate market, you know, do you instantly spiral and panic? When the world is awful and filled with bad news, basically everywhere you look, do you just constantly adopt a woe is me attitude? And do you just tend to get really negative and then it ruins the rest of your day? Or do you tend to be like, wow, I can't do this, shut the TV off and keep going? Like, how do you typically respond? So the first step to your question is really getting super ultra clear on what you do now and really knowing yourself, because, you know, it's kind of like, you know, the folks in those 12-step programs, the first step is admitting you have a problem.
Right.
It's the same here too. You have to admit you have a problem, and you have to take a look at your life and realize this is what I'm doing. And then you need to make a value judgment about that. Is that working for me? Is that not working for me? Am I inspired enough to do something about it? Or am I cool with keeping this bad habit because it's just not that much of a problem, or I'm just too damn lazy to do something about it?
Absolutely.
which is sometimes the case.
Yeah,
You know?
definitely. And as far as you had mentioned, I know a lot. We went through a couple of elements, the core elements from your book. Can you also explain other stuff that we can learn from the book? Is it already released and it is available for us to purchase?
Yes, I'm actually really, really excited about that. I released it last May, and actually, just within the last month, it is now available on Audible.
Oh, good.
I am super stoked about that because I am a huge consumer of audiobooks. I just love to, do, I don't know, yard stuff or go for a walk and just pop the earbuds in and just like learn as I go, or like road trips. Florida's a big state, a lot of driving, excellent opportunity for audiobooks. So you can, you can check out the 6 Habits on any of those things. It's everywhere.
Yeah, big consumer of audiobooks. I love it. Podcasts and audio stuff. I'm always streaming something, so that's a really good source. And you had mentioned that you have a kind of a little bit of different morning routine and typical work day. It does involve having coffee, maybe some celery juice. But can you kind of take us through maybe some other things that you do that you run your day with?
Sure. Okay, this answer is probably going to resonate with 25% of your audience. And the other 75% is going to be like, she's crazy. If anyone is familiar with Gretchen Rubin's work, she wrote this great book. She first wrote like The Happiness Project. I think she got really famous for that one. And then she went on to write some other ones. One that I really like is called The Four Tendencies. And it's all about how people respond to internal and external expectations. I'm one of those awesome people that I don't respond to external expectations really well. Like someone will say to me, hey, you need to, go to the gym. I need you to do it for me. Yeah, okay, sure. Have fun. You're there alone. I'm also the person, I don't respond to internal expectations either. I'm going to go to the gym. No, I won't. So I'm what she calls a rebel. So being a rebel, it basically means you're never going to see me at the gym. And unless it's something I deeply want to do, I'm probably not going to do it. I just have never enjoyed routine. So coffee is about the only thing that's routine. I don't even do the same thing every night. I just enjoy doing whatever suits me. But it is interesting because I do have habits in the way I do things when I do them. Like when I make dinner, I make really specific procedure of how I make dinner. When I'm bagging groceries and the stuff that I bought at Whole Foods, there's a procedure. Like I've got habits in the way I do them, just not around when.
And then also, I always ask this question with all my guests is, something that you seem very a deep thinker is gratitude. What can you say that you're most grateful for?
Well, gratitude is actually one of the 6 habits. So I can honestly say that I'm most grateful for my life and the richness of it, all the good, all the bad, all the ugly, and all the beauty. Every single facet of my life is truly a gift.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's very well said there. And then finally, we'll make sure to have your links in the contact section of our podcast. But what's the best way we get in contact with you, as well as where can we get your book?
So if you go to the6habits.com, it's THESIX habits.com. You can watch my TED Talk. You can get the book there. If you order it through my website, I will mail you a signed copy. Otherwise, you can go to Amazon, and you can also go on Audible now.
Awesome. I really look forward to that. Laura, it's a pleasure having you on. And soon to be, I'll be joining you in Florida and being Floridians. Is that what they call it? So looking forward to that. So thank you for the interview and learning more about you and the book and the process. Because like I said, since we have so much technical knowledge that we're always learning as real estate investors and trying to build wealth, but it doesn't start until we have that core foundation. So I was able to, glad that you're able to come on and kind of talk about your thesis on that and give us that more motivation we need.
Well, thank you for the invitation to do so. I definitely agree that how we do one thing is how we do everything. So it's great to chat about this.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your week and talk to you soon.
You as well.
All right. Bye-bye.